One of the questions that comes up all the time is, what about these hospital bills? How exactly do they break down? How do you make sense of it? There's no question, it leaves a lot of people scratching their heads. So I want to give you a little bit of an example here by taking inside this operating room. This is the hospital where I work, where I'm a neurosurgeon, and just having an operation performed in a room like this costs about $3,000 an hour. That's for starters. Come on in. Give you a couple of quick examples. If you look at a hospital bill, you might see an IV bag charge. It's an IV like this, about $280 just for the IV bag. That might strike people as very high. A stapler. This is a stapler that's often used in surgery. Something like this costs about $1,200. This is a chest tube. If someone has compression of one of their lungs, they might need a chest tube like this. That costs about $1,100. And you'll find examples like that really all over a room like this. Suture, something that's used in just about every operating room in the world. This type of suture over here costs about $200. And if you look at even devices like, this is a needle that's used for biopsy. So if there's a concern that someone has a tumor, they would use a needle like this, and this is going to cost about $800. Now it's important to keep in mind, if you ask the manufacturers of a device like this, why so much money? They'll say, well, it took years to develop something like this. The research and development costs are significant. Also, they're guaranteeing a certain level of effectiveness of this needle. That costs money as well. But something maybe you didn't know, when you look at a hospital bill, it's not just the cost of the supplies. There's also administrative costs that are built in. There's the cost of covering people who simply don't have insurance or can't pay. That's built into these costs as well. And finally, keep in mind that what is charged and what is ultimately paid are two very different numbers.
The typical hospital collects about 4% of every dollar that they collect, or about 4 cents of every dollar that they bill. So it's not coming out in massive profits. It's coming out as a result of underpayment from the government.
I'll tell you, the cost breakdown like I just gave you on lots of these different supplies, a lot of people simply never see. And what we have found is a lot of people don't care as well. If you're insured, some people may not even open the hospital bill. But there are about 50 million people uninsured out there, and they care very much about hospital bills like this. And what you can do is you can call the hospital and get a detailed breakdown. And while you're on the phone with the hospital, if the cost seems still too high or just hard to understand, you might be able to negotiate some of these prices down.